Hello student, this video is for understanding the composition of the soil. So the soil, you all know, it is the complex matter. It have solid, liquid, gaseous component, and collectively we call it as a constituent of the soil, or it is called as a composition of the soil. So this soil, they have soil texture or the soil mineral. Next up composition is a soil water. The soil has their own water. Then soil temperature, the atmospheric temperature, and the soil has their own temperature. Next one, that is the soil humus, which is important component of the soil. And last one, that is the soil organism. So here that means the soil have different factors. So all these are called as a edaphic factor, that is soil texture, soil temperature, soil humus, soil organism, and soil water. So here we have discussed one by one. So first one, that is the soil texture. The soil texture is nothing but the weathering of the rock form different sized mineral particle. Such mineral particles are in the form of the sand, silt, clay, and these particles are of different size and different proportion in the soil. That means the relative proportion of the soil particle having different size is called as a soil texture. So I think you understand what is meant by soil texture. The different sized particle, they are present in relative proportion. There is a relative proportion, that means there are some sand particles are more in some soil, there is clay particles are more. So this relative proportion of the soil particle, it have different size is called as a soil texture. And this soil texture is important for aeration of the soil, water holding capacity of soil, vegetative growth of the plant, and the information of the soil texture or the soil mineral. It is very useful in forestry, horticulture, in agriculture, and this texture is associated with the mineral nutrition, and therefore the International Society of Soil Science has given the different size, diameter, and name of the soil particle, so which are given in the table. So here in this table there is a soil particle and diameter in mm. So the first one, that is the gravel. So the gravel is important particle in the soil which have the diameter about 2 mm. That means when the 2 mm or more than 2 mm in the soil, then such particle is called as a gravel. Second one, that is porous sand. So in soil there is some porous sand is there. So this is a measure about 2 to 0.2 mm. So this is called as a porous sand. Sorry. Then next one, that is a fine sand. Fine sand is a consist in the soil, and it is about 0.2 to 0.02 mm in diameter. Then there is a silt. So this is a small particle present in the soil, and it is about 0.02 to 0.002 mm in diameter. And last particle is called as a clay particle, and this is a very much smaller particle in the soil. And so this is the different soil particle, and the relative proportion of this soil particle in the soil is called as a soil texture. And this soil texture is very important for when we have cultivate the different types of the plant in the soil. And on the basis of this content of the silt, clay, sand, or gravel, there are different types of the soils are formed, and these soils are classified into three major types. So here these three major types are called as a clay soil, loamy soil, and sandy soil, as well as the silt soil is also there. So here the next point we have discussed, that is the types of soil on the basis of how much or which type of the soil particles are found in the soil. So the first one, that is the sandy soil. So the sandy soil is the light colored soil. So here there is one photograph, it shows different types of the soil. So this is the sandy soil, which is a light colored, and it is large porous particle. It have large porous particle having more interparticulate space. So there is a sand is there, therefore they are not compactly arranged, but there is space is formed in between the soil particle or in between sand, and this space is called as a interparticulate space. So this soil is very poor in water holding capacity because the soil sand is not hold the soil, and therefore but the aeration is very good, and this soil is good for deep rooted perennial plant. That means this soil is very excellent for when we have cultivate the perennial plant which penetrate deep into the soil. Next one, that is the clay soil. So this clay soil, it is a smaller sized clay particle and more water holding capacity. So here this is clay soil have the more water holding capacity, and the humus content are more. So the organic content means humus content, that is plant part, animal part, microorganism, they are more, and therefore it is very useful for cultivation of all type of the plant. But the drainage is very poor because there is very small particles are there and there is no sand is there, therefore the drainage is poor and the soil is resistant to the root penetration. So here this is the second type, that is a clay soil. And third soil is called as a loamy soil. So here this loamy soil is mixture of the sandy and clay soil. So the sandy and clay particles are mixed and they form a loamy soil. So this loamy soil can we observe near the bank of the river, and this soil shows better water holding capacity, more mineral, more humus content and more aeration, and this is very suitable for growth of the fruit plant or the cash crop. So here this is the types of the soil. The next composition, that is the soil water. So you all know there is a soil water is nothing but the water which are present in the soil. So this water is absorbed by the roots from the soil, and the amount of the soil water is depends upon the physical property of the soil. And this water in the soil is comes from the rain, that is rainwater, hail, sleet, that is snow particle, and irrigation water. During heavy rainfall, you all know the large amount of the soil is lost. That means due to the surface runoff of the rainwater, the soil is destroyed and the water percolate inside the soil at different rates depending upon the texture, and then this percolated water is accumulated inside the soil, and some water, that is large amount of the water, is goes deep into the soil and they form a gravitational water. And there is a different types of the mineral, they are present in the soil, that is chloride, sulfate, nitrate, oxide, sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, as well as phosphorus, manganese, silica and aluminum. They are present in the soil water, we call it as a soil solution. And this soil water is classified into 4 categories. So in that, first one is the hygroscopic water. So the hygroscopic water is nothing but it is present in the form of thin film around the soil particle. So here the small soil particle, and around that there is a thin film of the water. This is called as soil particle. Then most important soil is the capillary water. So the capillary water means it is present in the porous nature of the soil particle, and this water is mainly absorbed by the plant root. The total amount of the capillary and hygroscopic water. So that these two one, that is hygroscopic water and this capillary water, they are mainly absorbed by the plant, and the amount of this capillary and hygroscopic water present in the soil is known as a water holding capacity of the soil. Third water is a gravitational water. That is some water is moving downward due to gravitational force, and then water reaches to the parent rock and accumulate there is called as a gravitational water, or it is also called as a water table. So there are some large tree, that is a deep rooted plant, can absorb such type of the water. Otherwise the agricultural plant or small plant cannot absorb this gravitational water. Next one, that is there are some water which are present in the form of the vapor called as water vapor. So in interparticulate space, that means the space present in between the soil particle are called as interparticulate space. So inside this interparticulate space there are certain vapors, water vapors are present, and this water vapors is insignificant, that means it cannot absorb by the plant. So here this is a called as a soil water, which is a second composition of the soil. The next one, that is a soil temperature. So the soil temperature is mainly affect the absorption of the water and nutrient by the plant. It also affect on the seed germination as well as the root growth and activities of the microorganism. So the soil moisture is mainly control the soil temperature. There are certain optimum range of soil temperature where it favors the growth of the microorganism is about 7.2 degrees Celsius. The crop plants can grow when the soil temperature is ranges between 28 to 42 degrees Celsius temperature. That means the favorable soil temperature promotes the seed germination as well as healthy establishment of the seedling, and the soil temperature also helps in controlling different forest types. So here this is called as a soil temperature. And the next one, that is the next point, that is a humus content of the soil, or the humus or organic matter of the soil. So you all know the humus is nothing but the decaying organic matter in the soil. The decaying organic matter of the plant and animal, that means when the plant animal are dies, then they are decomposed, and this decomposed portion or this particle, they are mixed in the soil, and this decomposed part is called as a humus. That means this humus is the main chief source of the mineral return into the soil. So the humus is mainly consist of the plant and animals remnants which are added into the soil. The complex organic matter may be in the form of the protein, carbohydrate, lignin and cellulose. That means here in humus it is a source of the protein, carbohydrate, lignin and cellulose. So this complex portion is converted into simple form by the activity of the microorganism during decaying process or during decomposition process. That means due to decomposition of the protein, carbohydrate, lignin and cellulose which are present in the plant and animal remnants, they are converted into the simpler form, and this is called as humus. So the humus have mainly the carbon content, and this is a carbon content is about 55% and 3 to 6% nitrogen. That means the carbon content is more in the humus. The humus is particularly dark colored, light in weight, and it can be easily mixed with the other component of the soil. The humus is a colloidal in state in the water. All type of the soil have different amount of the humus content. The forest soil, if you take the example of the forest soil, then this forest soil is rich in humus content due to continuous addition of the organic matter of the plant and animal. The humus provides the soil quality. It increases the soil fertility, water holding capacity as well as aeration of the soil. Even the percolation of the water is also enhanced by the humus. That means the humus rich soil is very valuable, very important for cultivation of important crop. So this humus is also enhanced. That means in the humus we can see here there is earthworm is there. That means it also enhance the activity of the organism, that is microbes and certain small animals, as well as it also enhance better plant growth which have the high productivity. So here this is nothing but humus or soil organic matter. Next one, that is the soil organism. So here you all know there are several different organisms are present in the soil. So there is a more than 250 different soil fungi are recorded. There is also algae and fungi, actomycetes are present in the soil. The soil has their own flora and fauna, and the fauna includes the protozoan, nematode, mites, insect, earthworm, etc. And if you take the example of the bacteria here, so the bacteria, they have certain rhizobium bacteria, pseudomonas, azotobacter, and this bacteria is very important for nitrogen fixation. That means nitrogen is fixed by this bacteria. There are certain blue-green algae. So here the blue-green algae. So this blue-green algae, we all know it is also fix the atmospheric nitrogen. For example, Nostor, for example, Anabina, Oscillatoria. So it is very important algae found in the soil. There are some few soil fungi which secrete the growth promoting substances like indole acetic acid for the plant growth. There is certain mycorrhizal fungi is there. So here this is the mycorrhizal fungi, and this is essential for the growth of some plants like pinus and cycas. You know, in pinus there is a mycorrhizal association between the root and the fungus. So I think you have got the soil organism. So here this is the next composition of the soil. So I think you have got the what is mean by soil and composition of the soil.